I have a friggin' at least 4 core at a time processor in this cell phone. Oh, hi. If you're new here, you probably don't realize that I'm currently in the process of driving through, well, heaven or hell. We haven't figured it out yet, but I don't have to hold the wheel because, well, I mean, this isn't real. So I want to tell you really quickly about dial-up. I think that a lot of people don't understand a lot of things about the earlier days of the consumer available internet. I think there's a lot of important stuff to be learned from the early days. To put it into context, just so that you fully understand, dial-up internet, while at its peak it claimed to be 56K, which stood for kilobits per second. You can roughly divide by 10 and get the actual speed in bytes per second. But, I did that wrong. But anyway, dial-up, normally you'd end up with something closer to 26.4, 28.8, 33.6 if you were really lucky. And often 56K only referred to the downstream and not the upstream. So the reality is dial-up probably averaged around 30 kilobits or 3 kilobytes per second. In fact, with parity bits, that's probably exactly correct. So imagine, if you will, the world at 3 kilobytes per second. You would be waiting a very long time for everything. So, back in the day, there used to be this sort of, not often spoken, but universalized rule for people making web pages that you shouldn't have the page be bigger than about 14 or 15 kilobytes in total for an entire web page. Now, keep in mind, there's no dynamic content at this point. Everything is just static HTML, and you may have a style sheet at a certain point. There's CSS that comes in, but largely HTML would still have the styles embedded, but a style sheet doesn't make that much bigger. JavaScript existed, but it wasn't as heavily used, and it couldn't do as much. And pictures really were the big fat thing. Pictures were what would just completely choke up your website. So often, graphics on the web were severely shrunk. Of course, PCs at the time also often, quite a few of them couldn't even display like 24-bit color. They couldn't even display full true color graphics. Quite a few PCs on the internet in the late 90s couldn't even show 16-bit color. They had to fall back on 8-bit color with a dynamic palette and dithering and all these crazy optic tricks. It's hard for me to explain it without showing to you, but it does mean that you could get away with lower graphical fidelity, because a lot of times half the computers that were going to see it, they weren't even capable of displaying the full quality of it. So anyway, moving away from that, to give you an idea where we are now, the early days of cable internet and DSL started, I think, around like 256 kilobits per second, or roughly 25 kilobytes per second. You're already talking about a massive jump. When I was installing cable internet in the early 2000s, we were at 1.5 megabits, I think. At some point it went up to 3. I don't remember exactly, but somewhere between 1.5 and 3, and I could swear that it was 1.5, but I may be misremembering. It may have been 1.5 before I started. I'm not sure. Now, I'm sorry, I have things in my eyes. Now, over there in that house, I've got gigabit cable internet. There is a fiber optic fiber running to my neighbor's house that is almost certainly also gigabit speed. Even the lower cable speeds around here are 400 or 500 megabits. So the speeds today are completely through the roof insane. And one of the problems with the extreme increase in the speeds of the speeds of connectivity, the speeds of computer power, and just the general rise in capacities and the speeds of those capacities. You know, more RAM is stupid cheap, and the RAM is stupid fast. Hard drives have been massively but not completely replaced by solid-state drives. And one of the problems with all of this ubiquity of stupidly fast network and CPU and just all these resources is that I've got this cell phone right here. I've got this cell phone that has a realistically, they claim it's an 8-core processor. It's really for efficiency, for performance. But I have a friggin' at least 4-core at a time processor in this cell phone in my hand right now that I paid $170 4 years ago for. The thing has several gigabytes of RAM. It has like 128 gigabytes of flash-based storage. And I'm holding it in my hand, dude. The 5G connection, I don't even know how fast the connection is, but I know that it can reach, at some points, it can reach hundreds of megabytes or megabits a second. And it's cellular. It's not even wired or fiber optic or anything. And this device is amazing. The problem is, because of this ubiquity of all these fast resources, the people who actually make software and make websites and make video games, all of this ubiquitous, amazing, super duper fast stuff has not led us to have amazing, ubiquitous, super duper fast, actual real world performance. And why is that? Well, it's because if you've got a faster machine to test on, then when you do something and you have to make a choice between, oh, do I want to build it quickly or do I want to make it turbo optimized? Well, if I turbo optimize it and everybody's got fast everything, well, then what's the point? And people have this sloppy logic, like if I can use quick prototyping tools or interpreted languages like Python, which I know CPython exists, shut up. But if I can use interpreted languages like Python, CPython's still slower than doing it in C. Then why would I even bother actually doing the hard work? Why would I do optimizations? Why can't I just write software that in the Electron framework that's really just web pages that run on a massive web browser that runs this super stupid slow JavaScript interpreter and does all this HTML crap in the background instead of a proper real application? Why is this? Why would I even bother trying to make something fast and lightweight? It's not one product that does this that is the problem. It's when stacks of products do this that you really start to see an issue. Because if my thing depends on another thing to work, and both of us have gone, well, you know what? Everybody's got solid state drives now, so why not? It'll be okay. It's good enough. And the other guy does the same thing. And maybe something that his tool depends on, thus mine, also does the same thing. So over time, these things bloat, they get slower, no one cares about performance and optimization anymore. It's getting kind of dark out here. But no one cares about optimizing anymore, so why should they? So why would they? What you end up with is what we have today. Stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of crap that never gets optimized. No one ever wants to cause anybody a pain point, so no one ever cleans anything up. Just add more to the standard to try and fix the broken standard. Add more features to the browser. Who gives a rat's ass about performance? And if you make a web page, well, guess what? Everybody's got gigabit fiber now, or 5G internet on their phone now. Don't try to make your web page fast. Don't try to make it, the content small. It's to the point where I went to a search engine called Wibby, W-I-B-Y, I think that's what it's called. Wibby is a weird search engine that somehow gets censored in YouTube comments for some reason. But if you go to Wibby and you run searches, what it does is Wibby only indexes the classic web. It only really hosts up pages that are in 90s and early to mid 2000s format, static style HTML, and so on. So when you go to these web pages that it offers up, it only shows you stuff that's designed in these ways that are so simple. The reason that all of this came up for me is that I went to a page, not because I was looking through Wibby, but I just went to a page about software, okay? If you go to any given free software project or whatever, they've all got these bloated, modern-looking web pages that have all this nice, clean, sanitized, whatever bullshit. I go to this page about something related to technology, so I think a program download page or something. I met with plain black text on a white background with minimal formatting. Links are blue and underlined. And the page immediately loaded. By immediately, I mean, boom, it's just there. There was no delay. When I clicked the link for that page, it felt like the page was there immediately. And I know this is not browser prefetching. Browsers can prefetch all day long. If you've got a bloated page, you're prefetching bloat. It's still going to be bloated. It's still going to take render time. This thing came up so fast that I almost had to do a double take. And it was so easy to read. Oh my God. Oh my God. It had header text at the top and a horizontal rule. It was the easiest page to look at ever. I have never had a web page since that page that was so impressive. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember there's no background. There's no fancy formatting. There's no graphics. It's just a plain text page that has the information I need. And oh my God, I can read it. And oh my God, the links are obviously links. And it was just a thing of beauty. Now, by beauty, I of course don't mean that it was designed to be pretty, but it was a thing of beauty in that, oh my God, I can actually consume the content and it doesn't suck. It loads like lightning and I can actually read it. And that's more than I can say for the vast majority of the internet today. Anyway, I think that we need to go back to that time, at least in our heads. Why can't we do modern things in that style? And in that light, I think maybe what I might do is tear down WordPress on my website and put it back to HTML 4.01 transitional and make a plain, boring page in that spirit. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. But you know what I could do with that I can't do any other way? I can develop that offline on any computer, in any web browser, and I don't have to worry about compatibility or anything because it's so simple, it just works. Anyway, it looks like heaven's getting too dark, so I've got to get offline. Thanks for watching. I am really looking forward to your comments below.